Welcome to the Empowerment Zone with Ramona Houston, where we zone in on Black and Brown relations and our journey to empowering our communities.
Thank you for joining the Empowerment Zone. I am your host, Ramona Houston. As our parents and loved ones get up in age, we're always trying to figure out what type of care should I provide for my loved ones? What are my options? How can I make sure that they are taken care of? As I work and live my life, I want to make sure that my parents are well taken care of. And that's why it's so important that we understand about all the options available to us. Welcome to the Empowerment Zone. I am your host, Ramona Houston, and here at the Empowerment Zone, we're all about social impact and empowering the lives of individuals and communities. Today, our topic is, what is the difference between assistance living and nursing home care? And our guest today is Victoria Archable. For those of you who have been listening to the Empowerment Zone for a while, you know that Victoria has already been on our show. And ever since she's been on our show the first time, couldn't wait to have her back again, because I really, really liked the knowledge that she shared to our audience. Victoria Archable is a certified senior advisor and owner of CarePatrol of Metro Atlanta, a senior referral and placement company. As a member of the Society of Certified Senior Advisors, Victoria is equipped to provide more value and a higher level of customer satisfaction to seniors by understanding and respecting the unique physical, cognitive, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the aging process. For 7 years, Victoria has operated a full-service placement agency, which means that they walk this journey of finding safer senior care with you, hand in hand, providing emotional support as well as professional expertise. They never charge families for their services, as they are paid by a vast network of providers, including assistance living and memory care communities, independent living communities, and in-home care agencies. So do not start your search for assisted livings without first calling CarePatrol, and particularly Victoria Archable. Welcome, Victoria. I am so happy to have you again. Thank you for joining me. And I love that background you have.
Thank you, Ramona. Thank you so much for having me back again. I thoroughly enjoyed our first conversation, and I just so applaud you for the work that you're doing to educate and enlighten our communities, bringing resources and information to our African American and Latinx communities in the Atlanta area. I just think it's phenomenal that you're doing this work, and you're so passionate and committed to just making sure that the information is disseminated to everybody. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you again for inviting me to be on your show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Those compliments are very much appreciated. So before we begin on your topic, can you tell our audience a bit about yourself and how you got interested in this particular field?
Sure, would love to. So as you mentioned in the bio, I am a certified senior advisor, and I also own a CarePatrol franchise. We are a franchise model. I have owned my business for 7 years. Can't believe it's been 7 years. And we have about 150 offices nationwide. We've got 4 offices in the Atlanta area. I got into this business, one, because I am a member of the baby boomer generation. And as you know, about 10,000 baby boomers turn 5 every single day.
Mhm.
So it's a, with the beauty of modern medicine and technology, we are aging longer, we're living longer, and it's as a result, we're aging. And so there's a critical need for resources and services to provide to the aging population and to their families. So when I started looking into this industry, I was looking in a couple of different directions, and this particular business model really appealed to me because it allows me to still service seniors and service their families, but I don't provide direct care. So I'm more of a consultant, if you will. We often say that ours is more of a concierge business because we work directly with seniors and with families, but we're a bridge for them to get to the care that they need, that we can assess what their needs are. So it's been a wonderful journey. I've been able to help hundreds of seniors be placed with the right type of care that they need. And we do it at no cost to the families, which is an incredible benefit to our families out there, because we are paid by our providers. But we bring a lot of resources. I often say that I like to be a one-stop shop. So when I start working with a client, I really try to provide as many resources as they need, not just, oh, here are some assisted living communities that you can look at, but there are other things that are involved when seniors decide to move from their home into perhaps an assisted living community. So we are, what I like to say, we are very hands-on in working with our clients, and I like that aspect of what I do. I have a part-time person that works for me and supports me, and together we try to serve families at the highest level possible. Yeah, and it's been great.
Thank you for that background. Tell us a little bit about the different types of facilities, particularly you're talking about the assistance living versus nursing care home. Can you please explain what is the difference and what families should take into consideration when making decisions about the placement of their loved ones?
Absolutely. This is this is such an important topic because in the 7 years that I've done this work, I get no less than 5 calls a week from families who are looking for a way to provide care for their loved ones, whether it be their parents or grandparents or siblings who are older and disabled and no longer able really to live independently, safely. And oftentimes people really confuse with understanding that there is a vast difference between an assisted living community and a skilled nursing facility or a nursing home. We all know, we all have an image in our mind of what a nursing home is, and oftentimes people confuse a nursing home with assisted living. So I really am excited to be able to spend a few minutes talking about what the differences are, and hopefully educate your audience in understanding the difference and helping them to figure out, if they need one or the other, what kinds of things they should be considering and thinking about. So I'm going to take the nursing home first because it really is something that almost all of us at some point may encounter, right? We all may not ever go into an assisted living because probably only a very small percentage of the US population of seniors live in assisted living communities. But if you go into a hospital and you have surgery, or you have a stroke, or you have a heart attack, and you're hospitalized, right? So hospital being kind of the top of the pyramid. More than likely, the doctors in the hospitals will come to you and say, we think you need some additional rehabilitation once you discharge from the hospital. And so the next level of medical care is what's called a skilled nursing facility. And most people interact with a skilled nursing facility because they've had a hospital stay, and then they go from the hospital to a rehabilitation facility. Well, that rehabilitation facility is the same thing as skilled nursing. It is one and the same. It's just described differently. So you go from the hospital into skilled nursing, and you go there to get physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy after a hospital stay. Okay, so that's where most of us have our first initial encounter with a skilled nursing facility. And we don't think about it because we're in and out. We're there for 20 days, it's covered under insurance, and we're back home again, right? So, but that is the same building, that's the same facility as what most people consider a nursing home. It's just, there are two sides of that building. There is a short-term side, which is the rehabilitation side, and then there is a long-term side. And so when we start to think about skilled nursing as a place for elderly loved ones to go, if it's long-term, right, that means that they're going to go into that facility and they're going to live there until end of life, right? So the question becomes, is that an appropriate place for your aging loved one to live out the rest of their life? Okay, it very well may be. There are some conditions where someone would need to be in a skilled nursing facility, right? Here are some of those conditions. If you have what we call a skilled need, so that may be you are completely bedbound, you are not able to get up and transfer out of bed on your own, you're completely bedbound. It may be that you have a feeding tube, right? You're no longer able to eat food naturally or take in food naturally. You have a feeding device. It may be that you have to be on IV antibiotics. You have to, your medication, your antibiotics is given intravenously. You may be in the final stages of life, hospice care or palliative care. Other ways that people choose to go into have to go into long-term care is if you are very low income, need supportive help, don't have enough resources to move into assisted living, but you still need help. You need help with your activities, what we call activities of daily living, like bathing, dressing, grooming, and your income is such that you can't afford assisted living and you don't have family support, right? Then you probably will have to go into a skilled nursing facility for long-term care, okay? So it's either an economic reason, a financial reason, or a medical reason that you would go into a nursing home until end of life. All right. Skilled nursing facilities are federally regulated. They're regulated by the government. And outside of a hospital, they provide the next highest level of care. In other words, they have 24-hour-a-day nursing. And of course, doctors do rounds to see patients in a skilled nursing facility. So if all of those conditions are met, or some of those conditions are met, then skilled nursing is probably the best option. Usually when people go into skilled nursing on the long-term care, it's not like you're there for a week or two and you come home. If you're there for long-term care, that means you're there till the end of life. So that's kind of the nursing home side of the equation. Short-term rehab or long-term care. The other side of the equation is assisted living. And the way we talk about assisted living is we consider it more supportive living. In other words, I'm 80 years old, let's say, and I've been living in my own home for 60 years. I'm widowed or never married. I may have children, but they've got their own lives, their own families, their careers. I'm starting to have some health challenges. Maybe I'm starting to fall. Maybe I'm starting to have some cognitive difficulties. So I'm forgetting to take my meds, or I'm forgetting to eat properly. Maybe I'm just lonely. I'm isolated, and it would really benefit me to be in a community around other people for socialization purposes. Maybe I'm in a wheelchair. Maybe I ambulate in a wheelchair, and I need help getting me from the bed into the wheelchair, or maybe I need help getting from the wheelchair into the shower or onto the toilet, right? All of those things can be provided in an assisted living or in a supported living environment, right? So it's really, we talk about the activities of daily living. That's help with bathing, help with dressing, help with medication management, help with meals, help with laundry, housekeeping, limited transportation, and of course, socialization, which is so very important to all of us. Those are all the things that you don't have to get those things, but if you need those things to help you with your daily living, then those are available in an assisted living community. Most of the larger communities will have an LPN or an RN on staff, right? But they're not there to help you from a clinical standpoint. They're there to oversee, at most, they're there to oversee the administration of medications. But they're not, they might take vital signs, they might take your blood pressure, they might weigh you, they might take your temperature, but they're not doing chest x-rays, they're not, taking blood for labs or things like that. It is not a medical model, it is a social model. So you can get help with the things that we all need to do daily in an assisted living community, but it is not there for medical reasons. That is not the purpose of assisted living. It is not a medical model. The other big difference, and this is where a lot of people get confused. In most cases, if you go into an assisted living community, particularly in Georgia, you're going to be paying privately to be there. That means you're paying out of pocket. Now, you may be a veteran and you may qualify for some support from the VA or a spouse of a veteran. You may have long-term care insurance, which pays for you to be in an assisted living community. Or you may have savings or other assets that you can use to pay for assisted living. But Medicare does not pay for assisted living, and Medicaid does not pay for assisted living. That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions out there, is that, Medicare will pay for assisted living. No, Medicare will not pay for assisted living. You pay privately for assisted living. Conversely, if you go into skilled nursing, and if you're there for short-term rehab, yes, Medicare will pay for short-term rehab. If you have to be there for long-term care in a skilled nursing facility, you can qualify for Medicaid if your income is below a certain level. You then would qualify for Medicaid. But Medicare and Medicaid will not pay for people to be in assisted living. And that's a big difference, another big difference between the two.
Thank you so much for this explanation. I was always wondering, like when my father went and had surgery, they took him to the nursing home for rehab, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why a nursing home? I couldn't, they were trying to explain, no, that he's in rehab, he's coming out, but I could not understand, because I grew up in a small town, and what nursing home meant to me is very different than what it is, so I'm sure my audience also appreciated that explanation about, and I like the term that you use, skilled nursing facility. We say nursing home, but words matter, right?
Absolutely.
Also, the explanation of assistance living and what the difference is in terms of, you don't have the medical care that you do at a skilled nursing facility, but you do have all these other services there to assist you in your living, as well as the socialization, the opportunity to socialize with your peers. Yeah,
absolutely. Perfect.
So this was a really good and thorough explanation. I want to ask you, before we continue to talk about these two types of facilities, why, just culturally speaking, why has our country tend to create these facilities? Like, there used to be a time when people would stay at home until their deaths. Why was there a need, or do you know that history, or what made these particular facilities possible? I have an idea, but I just kind of wanted the professional idea or opinion about why these institutions have grown so much in our country.
Well, nursing homes have been around for hundreds of years, 100 years, I guess. Assisted living communities have really only been around since, I think, the 80s. It's when assisted living communities kind of burst onto the scene. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that people wanted a place to go in their retirement where they didn't have to maintain, a home, a single family home. They didn't have to worry about the maintenance and upkeep of a home. They wanted to be around other people within their own age group, the socialization aspect of it. If you were, again, single or widowed, you just might have been lonely living in the home you lived in for 50 years. So it was initially created as a social model, right? So over the years, they started adding other services like the medication management and assistance with activities of daily living. But it initially was created really so that retirees would be able to live in community, still have their own private apartment, but be able to do activities and do life with other people that were similar in age and economic status or whatever. So that was sort of the reason assisted living communities were created. And of course, Now, I mean, they're everywhere. They've proliferated, and you've got all kinds of assisted living. And I've talked mostly about assisted living, but within assisted living, there are also what's called memory care units. So, as you probably know, and your audience knows, um, dementia and Alzheimer's is just, it's an epidemic. And so a lot of times people, when they're diagnosed with that disease, they're unable to live on their own any longer safely. So assisted living communities created this other unit within the building called memory care for people who are memory impaired and who need that extra layer of oversight, watchful oversight and protection. Then there are, in Atlanta, we have these what we call residential personal care homes. So these are literally single family homes that are throughout all the residents in Georgia or in Atlanta. They're licensed by the state, just as the larger assisted living communities are, and they can provide many of the same levels of services, the activities of daily living, support with that. They tend to be a little less expensive than the larger communities, but that is also an option. So you have different options within kind of this umbrella of assisted living. But I think initially it was really more because people were retiring and they were wanting sort of to have a different life experience than just living in their homes for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it makes so much sense because in terms of the assisted living, because it takes a lot to own your own home, right?
Yes.
And all the maintenance and care involved in homes, and also living by yourself to be able to live in a place where all the maintenance and things are taken care of, as well as being able to be around people. And then I'm sure, which I do know, these assistance living facilities also have activities, daily
Yes.
activities, whether it be physical activities or just fun activities that they have access to on an everyday basis that they would not normally have access to living at home without having to, figure out transportation and this and that. So there are many reasons that people would find assistance living amiable.
We like to refer to assisted living as cruise ships on land. So if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you know exactly what that experience is like. They're going all the time.
Yes, but the unfortunate thing, even though it seems like it would be a cruise ship, the unfortunate thing is that the skilled nursing facilities don't have those same amenities, and
unfortunately,
that has to do with the economics of our country. That the poor have access to less services than what people with means do, and that's one of the things we need to change so that there are not necessarily those divisions that once you're poor and you get old that you don't have the same type of lifestyle that other people with means do. So with that being said, tell us, what are some of the calls to action that our audience need to take if they are interested in exploring opportunities for their loved ones in terms of assistance living or skilled nursing facilities? What are the calls to action?
I think the first call to action would be, you're probably gonna chuckle at this, but have a discussion. If you're an adult child, and I'm literally saying, no matter what your age, even if you're in your 20s, if you're an adult child, you have an aging parent, even if that parent right this moment is healthy and doing well and living independently and is able to do for themselves, have a conversation, sit down go out for coffee and say, look, you know, mom, dad, mom and dad, you're doing great now. You're able to do for yourself. You're healthy. You're living life. You're having fun. But in the event things were to change, in the event there would be a health emergency, let's talk about how would you want me to support you if you were no longer able to live independently in your own home as you are now. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's better to have the conversation and start thinking about it and planning for it than to just let it happen and then go, oh my God, what do I do now? Because that's usually what I get. That's the call I get is mom is in the hospital. She had a stroke. She fell and broke her hip. She's got dementia. She's living alone. She's confused. She's wandering. You know, the neighbors are calling the police. They're calling Adult Protective Services because she's wandering. You know, all of these things. Nobody has had any conversations about what to do in the event this happens while that person was able to have that discussion. And it's a tough discussion to have. None of us like to talk about, you know, the aging process and what could, you know, inevitably happen if we were to become ill or no longer able to care for ourselves. But if we live long enough, more than likely it's going to happen. So have a conversation, talk with your parents, put a plan together. If you are, you know, if financing is an issue, start looking into Medicaid. Start researching Medicaid options. If you have assets, talk to an elder care attorney. How do we protect those assets if we have to put mom in a nursing home? It's really about preparing, being proactive, not putting our head in the sand, and having a plan and having a discussion with your loved ones. And if you're a senior and you don't have adult children, you know, do you have friends? Do you have church members? Do you have neighbors? Who would you want to designate as your legal power of attorney, your financial power of attorney, your medical power of attorney? Get somebody that you trust, sit down with them, ask them if they would consider being your power of attorney. Doesn't mean that they are financially responsible for your debt. It just means that in the event you are incapable of making those decisions, they would step in and make them on your behalf. So important. So many people don't do that. And it just becomes so messy, you know, when their loved one is at that point and they've not made any of these. So that I can't overemphasize that is so critically important. If you're at a point now where you're saying, you know what, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to have to put mom or dad into a skilled nursing facility. Start visiting some of the facilities. I would like to leave your audience with this website, www.medicare.gov. www.medicare.gov. If they go to that website, there is a place where they can click on find a nursing home. They can put in a zip code and it'll give them all the skilled nursing facilities within a 25-mile radius. There is a 5-star rating that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Sciences puts out. So they can look at those ratings and they can say, oh, these have a 1. A 1 is bad, a 5 is good. So they can start evaluating which of these facilities would we even want to consider if mom had to go there or dad had to go there. And that's whether it's short-term or long-term, frankly. They can review and evaluate that information, even if it's for someone who's going there for rehab. Medicare.gov website. Go to that website, find the facilities, look at their ratings, and then maybe visit them. You know, I mean, because you don't want to just look at the ratings and make a decision. Call them up, ask them if you can come in for a visit and see them for yourselves. Now, this would be in advance of somebody going into one, either for rehab or for long-term care. But again, it's about planning for the inevitable, potentially the inevitable. If you are someone who says, I can afford assisted living, and assisted living is about half the cost of skilled nursing. So, if you're not on Medicaid and you're going into skilled nursing, you're going to have to pay out of pocket, and it's very expensive. So if you say, hey, I can afford to be in assisted living, how do I go about that? Again, it's preparation. Doesn't mean you're going to move tomorrow or maybe even this year, but you just want to start the process and finding out what you can about what's available. Call an advisor, a senior advisor like myself, CarePatrol. We do not charge families for our services. We're very hands-on. My number is 404-583-1231. We're always happy to have conversations with families even if they're just exploring at this point. But again, if you're going to be looking at assisted living, either with an advisor, hopefully, because they're going to know more than you're going to know being a layperson, start the process early. It's just, again, the whole theme of this is prepare, plan, prepare, talk about it, have discussions with your aging loved ones, have a power of attorney designated for medical and financial. Just plan, just having a plan. That's the most important thing I could emphasize as far as a call to action.
Thank you so much. That, we don't want to deal with issues until they arise. And that is such great advice to start having the conversation now, prepare and plan. And that way that when those times arise that you have to make those critical decisions, you're already ready.
That's right.
So we really appreciate you joining us as our guest today. If any of our guests would like to use your services, could you please provide us your website and or phone number or email, however you would like our audience to get in touch with you?
So our phone number is 404-583-1231. Our website is www.metroatlanta.carepatrol.com. That's www.metroatlanta.carepatrol.com. Yes.
Thank you so much, Victoria. We had Victoria Archable today, and she's given her number several times over this call. So hopefully you will give her a call for those in need and need some expert advice and direction on this process. She's also given us her website. Thank you so much, Victoria.
Thank you,
for
Ramona,
joining
for having
us
me
today.
on your show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So today we have Victoria Archable as our guest today, and she's going to share a strategy for college success. Hi, Victoria. Could you please tell us what school or schools did you attend? What were your majors, and what is that piece of advice you would give students for college success?
Sure. So I attended Memphis State University, which is now the University of Memphis, undergrad. My degree is a bachelor's of business administration with a concentration in marketing. And I received my master's of business administration from Atlanta University, which is now Clark Atlanta University, with a concentration in marketing. My one piece of advice would be, if you're a senior or if you're in high school, really to start thinking about what's important to you in terms of when you're thinking about what your professional career looks like, which schools are going to prepare you the best for that career. So if you want to be, I don't know, in journalism. Which schools have the best journalism programs? If you want to be an educator, which schools have the best, teaching programs or education programs? So which schools will support you in your career choice, and then start maybe looking at how you're going to pay. I know college now is so much more expensive than when I came through. Thank God I got mine years and years ago. But a lot of times the financial piece is what causes students to avoid going to post-secondary because it's so expensive. So start investigating, are there scholarships? Are there things out there? A lot of companies offer, scholarships to students from certain ethnic groups, or if they're going into a certain profession, there may be some support there for that. But it's really, again, the theme is just prepare and plan, do your research, think about the environment. College life, it's wonderful, so if you want to have a really good social experience in college, certainly the academics is the most important thing. But when you're not in class and when you're not studying, what is that the rest of the time you spend there looks like, and what would you like for that to look like? And of course, as a lot of times students will, during their sophomore, junior year, they'll start visiting certain colleges. So I think the college tours are very important, because you're able to walk the campus, you're able to get a feel for the vibe or the atmosphere, the culture. I think that's important. I probably gave you 3 things. You asked for 1, but
I love it. So thank you so much for that advice. So you need to, all you students who want to be successful, you need to research your schools and make sure you align with the schools that have your major and excel in the work that you want to do. Every school is not the same. You need to make sure that you explore the schools and see their offerings so that you can match yourself and attend the schools that are excelling in the work that you want to do. Next, you must prepare financially because a college education is expensive. Figure out how you're going to pay for it. And there are all types of resources to assist you, as Victoria has explained. And lastly, make sure you take time to visit the colleges. If you can't visit in person, visit virtually. Find out about the campus. Figure out if this is the campus for you by visiting and getting the vibe of the college or university you want to attend. So thank you so much, Victoria. That was great advice, and we really appreciate you sharing that with us. And thank you for being a guest on the Empowerment Zone.
Thank you, Ramona. It was so good to be with you today.
Thank you.
A special thank you to the incredible team of the Empowerment Zone. Terry Gully, theme song. NADWorks, digital support, and of course, our featured guest.
If you enjoyed my podcast, please subscribe. We are on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts too. Thank you for your continued support.